at least when it comes to the WHO, the international health regulations, for instance, they want to change that. And they kind of have to change it. And I'll tell you why. Because what they also figured out during COVID is they would have loved to impose much stricter restrictions on everyone, but they couldn't. Because we are democracies, and our elected officials will be up for re-election. And if they violate fundamental rights, if they infringe upon them, if they, impose lockdowns on people, then the elected officials might not get reelected. So what they're doing is, with the change of the international health regulations, which would then grant the WHO these governing powers in case of pandemic, which, by the way, they are the authority to call out a pandemic, and then seize the governing powers. What is happening here is actually providing plausible deniability to the elected officials, because they can say now, we would have never done that. We would not infringe upon your rights. We would not take it away from you. It's the WHO doing it, right? So that's how this is working here. And in a way, it's also working like that with the EU institutions. The governments in the member states, they kind of tell their people, well, we wouldn't do this to you. We would not come up with this legislation that, infringes upon your rights and takes away your freedom. It's the EU doing it. So the people will no longer be clear on who actually took what decision. Who can we hold accountable? And even if they knew, then they are kind of now getting to a stage where it would be impossible for the people to hold them accountable, because they never elected the person that took that decision. So that's been happening under the guise of doing something good, something for the greater good. They're pretty much taking away freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. Everything that we held dear and everything that made us into who we are, whether it's our cultural identity, national identity, sexual identity, we already talked about that. It's democratic principles. I think what they're trying to achieve is pretty much to transform our free and liberal societies that are made up of free individuals into this malleable, mindless mass where, we can just be shoveled around wherever they, and once again, I say they, need us to be, to pretty much serve in their best interests,